Hi everybody. In today's video we'll look at what lens to use for portrait photography. Hey David, I have a photo assignment for my photo class coming up and it's a portrait. I only have a 50mm lens. Will that work for portraits? Yes it will. A 50mm lens will take a competent portrait photo, and there's no necessary reason that you need to get another lens. But let's say you've got a birthday or a holiday coming up and you want to get another lens to take portrait photos with. There are a lot of good options for it, and they fall within a range. Everything we're going to talk about here range-wise is in 35mm or digital full frame terms, but it will also apply pretty well to an APS-C digital SLR. As a general rule, and there's no hard and fast perfect answer to this, I've seen portraits taken with a 15mm lens that look interesting, distorted but interesting. As a general rule, a portrait lens is something that falls from about 75mm up to about 135, maybe 200 if you really want to stretch it. Now the reason for that is just the way that lens optics work and how lenses magnify and distort images or not distort images, and the way that converting the 3D world into a two-dimensional image changes the way that a three-dimensional subject looks when reproduced two-dimensionally. So 75 up to 135 is really a flattering conversion from three-dimensional to two-dimensional for portrait use. So my favorite ever portrait lens that I've used, I don't own a copy of, unfortunately. It's the Sony 135 f2.8 t4.5 STF lens, and there's a link to my review of that lens in this video's description. It is phenomenal for portraits. A very close second to that is this little guy right here. This is the Pentax 77mm FA Limited. It's the sharpest lens that I've ever used. It's phenomenal for portraits in terms of the way that it converts 3D to 2D, but it's not forgiving on subject flaws. So if you're going to use that lens, understand that if your subject has too much makeup, for instance, that's going to show. If your subject has other flaws, a stray hair growing out of their forehead, that's going to show. So you're going to have a little bit of post work to do to take a little bit of the sharpness off with the 77. The next after that I really love using is this Takumar 105-8, and it's very sharp, but it's also very flattering to subjects. It's a really well engineered lens. So 100 to 105mm for me, focal length wise, I think is the ideal portrait range. Different opinions on that. A lot of people will tell you 85 is better. It's a matter of what people want to look at in a picture, and I don't think anybody who says 85 is best is wrong. 85 is a great millimeter length for portraits. On the far end, this is my sharpest 135, my best one. It is the a Vivitar 2.8 135mm lens. It is a really fantastic little performer. But once you get beyond 135, the way that lenses work, you start to get a little bit of compression and people start to look a little bit flat. Like in the old cartoons when Bugs Bunny would smack Elmer Fudd or whomever in the face with a frying pan and then their face would be flat. That's kind of what telephotos do to subjects in portraits. So if you want to pick up a portrait-specific lens, 75 to 135mm, great range. 135 is probably going to be the cheapest. The 77 in Pentax, 85 or 105, and those ranges tend to be, to my eye, more flattering in terms of the way the focal length renders 3D subjects onto a 2D image surface.